Work hard, be productive, build your future. You've heard it 1,000 times and believed it. But Nietzsche saw what few dare to admit. This cult of blind effort is not a virtue. It's domestication. Society trained you as if life were an endless staircase, with the top a mirage, while you sacrifice yourself for the promise of a better tomorrow. The today, the only time that truly exists, rots away in silence. The truth cuts deep. Most people don't live. They just follow commands. They die without ever having dared to truly exist. Nietzsche didn't attack work. He attacked the lie, the farce that mechanical suffering gives life meaning, that discipline without desire is some form of glory. Keep watching, if you dare. Because maybe the most dangerous question isn't, what are you doing with your life? But who convinced you to call this a life? Work hard now. Wait your turn. One day you'll be rewarded. These words sound like a distant beacon on the horizon. Something that guides, that motivates, that gives meaning to daily sacrifice. But behind this apparent wisdom, there's something cruel. Something few are willing to admit. Because the truth is this: many die before ever living, and don't even realize they've been deceived. Or worse, they chose to be deceived. You've spent years working exhaustively, sacrificing weekends, postponing trips, avoiding luxuries, investing, saving, planning, all in the name of a future that feels distant yet promising. But that future is not guaranteed. In fact, it was built like a horizon that retreats as you approach it. And so, you spend your whole life looking forward, but never truly living. The problem isn't the system. The problem is that you think it will change, or that you deserve to be rewarded for obeying. If you saw yourself in this and still did nothing, it wasn't because of a lack of courage. It was because you were afraid to admit it was all your choice. Let's end this brutally. The system doesn't exist to elevate those who work. It exists to extract from those who produce. And you, by choice, are part of it. You're not a victim. You're an employee in a game you didn't invent. But keep playing. Friedrich Nietzsche understood this better than any modern economist. He saw how modern morality turned effort into virtue, how it made people measure their own worth by how many hours they worked, how much they sacrificed, how much pain they endured. Working hard isn't noble. It's what we do when we're afraid to truly live. And he called this slave morality, the kind that glorifies obedience, humility, and suffering. The kind that makes workers believe their effort will be rewarded, even if that reward never comes. And as long as you believe in it, you keep running. You work yourself to death and think you're in control. You go the extra mile and think you're building something. You sacrifice health, relationships, and purpose, believing it will all be worth it in the end. But the worst part isn't being deceived, it's continuing to believe. Because you're afraid to face the truth. You don't know what you want from life, and you'd rather be useful than be happy. The system doesn't trap you with bars. It traps you with promises. Promises that one day it'll all be worth it. That one day you'll finally be able to breathe. That one day you'll finally be able to live. But that day rarely comes, and when it does, it's not what you imagined. Because the system understood one fundamental truth. The more you postpone life, the less likely you are to live it. And so, it convinces you that human value lies in what you produce, in what you accumulate, in what you leave behind. And when you finally stop, you ask yourself, I did everything right, so why do I still feel empty? Because you lived for a future that never arrived. Because you postponed the present for so long that it simply disappeared. Because you confused being busy with having purpose. And now you can't tell the difference. One of the greatest traps of our time is this. We believe constant effort leads to freedom. In reality, it leads to exhaustion. Have you ever stopped to wonder why so many, after decades of work, don't feel peace? Why so many, even with financial stability, remain dissatisfied? Why so many, even with solid careers, still feel empty? Because the system wasn't made to uplift workers. It was made to keep them functioning. And the worst part, it doesn't force you to work. It convinces you that this is what you want. Meritocracy is the religion of the modern slave. You believe you'll be rewarded for being a good worker, but no one prays to a machine hoping to be loved by it. Friedrich Nietzsche warned against the morality of hard work. He understood that when effort becomes religion, the individual loses the ability to live. That when work becomes identity, the soul is imprisoned. And today, this slave morality lives on in phrases that echo everywhere. Work hard and you'll go far. Success isn't luck, it's effort. If you want it, you'll do it. If not, you'll make excuses. If you're not rich, it's because you didn't try hard enough. It all sounds beautiful, even noble, but it's cruel. Do you believe you only deserve happiness after proving you're useful? That you have to be productive to be loved? That you must suffer to be respected? That's not virtue. It's slavery with a diploma. Have you ever stopped to wonder why so many great employees are fired by less competent people? Why so many serious, dedicated professionals are overtaken by those who understand the political game? Because the system doesn't reward merit. It rewards utility. And utility, unfortunately, is temporary. And while you adapt, give, and sacrifice, the system moves forward. Always one step ahead. Always with new goals. Always with new promises. And you keep going. Running, even with no finish line. Producing, even without real recognition. Working, even without feeling alive. And Nietzsche would say, you live as if you were only a means, but forget that you were meant to be the end. Many die physically earlier than expected. Others die emotionally long before that. They lose enthusiasm. They lose curiosity. They lose connection with themselves. And still, they keep moving forward, as if the only way to exist was to keep producing, as if living were just another form of enduring. And no one questions it, because the system doesn't want you to think about that. It wants you to keep running. Even if your feet bleed, even if your heart slows down, even if your soul screams for meaning. And when you finally reach the finish line, you realize it was just another barrier. That freedom wasn't there. It was on the path you ignored. Think about this. How many years of your life have been invested in something you didn't truly want? How many promises have you bought, thinking they were absolute truths? How many times have you ignored your limits, thinking you needed to prove something to someone? And more importantly, are you working to build your life, or just sustaining a system that doesn't even recognize your value? The first step to breaking this cycle is understanding that life is not a long-term project. It's a daily experience. Modern society convinces us that life is a linear process. Study, work, success, freedom. But in practice, that path is an endless staircase. Every step you climb, another appears. And when you finally reach the top, there's no one waiting. Just you, tired, empty, and not even sure why you worked so hard. You're not being rewarded. You're being kept busy. And meanwhile, time passes, and it doesn't come back. Have you ever realized that time is the only non-renewable resource? Money can be earned. Health can recover. Relationships can be rebuilt. But lost time never returns. And the worst part, you don't even notice it slipping away. It happens slowly, day by day, year by year, until one day you look back and ask, where did my life go? The answer lies in the trips you never took, in the dreams you shelved, in the people you left for later, in the passions you silenced, in the love you postponed, in the freedom you thought could wait, and you realize you didn't live. You only prepared to live. And when the moment to finally breathe arrives, you no longer have the strength. You no longer have your health. You no longer have the courage. You didn't die from overwork. You died from lack of purpose. Friedrich Nietzsche, in his critique of slave morality, saw this with clarity. He understood that human beings have an instinct for domination, not over others, but over themselves. The desire to create values, give meaning, choose their own paths. But when that instinct is suppressed, it turns into resentment, obedience, and suffering disguised as virtue. And that's exactly what we see today. People who confuse sacrifice with merit, suffering with virtue, and obedience with success. You weren't made to serve. You were made to live. And as long as you believe you have to prove your worth, as long as you believe you only deserve happiness after being useful, as long as you believe you must suffer to be worthy, you live as if you were only a means and forget that you were meant to be the end. Now answer this in the comments. When was the last time you chose to live instead of just work? If something resonated with you while reading this, leave a comment with, I saw myself here. If you recognized a part of yourself in this, I don't believe in this anymore. If you're already breaking free from this logic, I'm tired of pretending this makes sense. If you're ready for change because this life is yours, and no one else is going to live it for you.